voice from the web. He's always in the know. Crypto community.
And we're live. Good morning, guys. Welcome to the Swarm Report. Man, it's the season of OGs here. Season 2 of Virtuals, right? The Genesis launch is always incredible and thrilling and whatever. We love getting into those and sometimes even trading them live. But I'm telling you, the OGs are making the comeback here, and we have like an OG of the OGs here with us here today. I don't know if I'm saying this right. Is it BludeX?
BludeX is good. Yeah. Good morning.
Boom. From Athena. Dude, I'm telling you guys, OG of the OG of the OG agents here. I can't wait to get into, especially like your backstory and how you've seen this space change since you guys launched. But welcome to the show. Give a quick introduction if you don't mind.
Yeah, thanks. Will do. Well, first and foremost, I got to give the normal disclaimers here. So thoughts and opinions I express today are solely my own and do not represent any other individuals or entities I may be affiliated with. Nothing I say today should be considered financial, tax, accounting, or legal advice. Additionally, today we're going to likely talk about the mechanics of the Athena ERC20 token on the base chain. That Athena ERC20 smart contract was launched and is owned and modifiable only by the Virtuals protocol entity, nobody affiliated with the Athena AI team or DAO, and there's absolutely no guarantee of a return on investment on the Athena token based on the efforts of myself or anyone else on the Athena AI team or any decisions made by the Athena AI DAO now or in the future. Now that that's out of the way,
that was awesome.
Yes. Yeah, no, I got to get it out of the way. You know how we're like 5 doxed US people, right? So we just got to be really, really careful.
I'm literally going to rewatch this and take notes, and I'm going to cut a version of that for ours. I haven't done that once, probably should. Really good.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of my background, 20-year technology veteran. My experience has predominantly been in IT infrastructure operations, networks, servers, data centers, etc. About 3 years ago, I moved full-time into the Web3 realm professionally as a blockchain and generative AI subject matter expert for a very large global consulting firm. And Athena AI is basically our little like side project / hobby / side hustle / whatever you want to call it. All 5 folks on the team here, we all have normal full-time jobs, and Athena AI is basically like our video game on the side, where we're looking to create as much value as possible, primarily in the realm of crypto derivatives data insights, which, as you know, a big thing that we're working on is that data integration into the Virtuals protocol, agent commerce protocol. And so, we've definitely taken on a few different objectives since we launched all the way back in November. I know you mentioned we were OG. We actually launched on November 19th. So quite a while ago. Back then, I mean, like we were once like on like the top page on the Virtuals protocol page. Like I think there's probably only 5 or 6 agents that are over $1 million market cap that are kind of still around and doing things. A lot of big names of like AXBT and Vader and Game and FewShot, etc. So we've definitely been at it for quite a while, and we've been working with the Virtuals protocol team every step of the way, talking with their main core dev relationship people. We were major testers and implementers of the game framework when it first came out. We're showcased on the game dev calls and such. Of course, we're doing a little bit of a pivot here into this agent commerce protocol world. So I'll pause there and let me know if you want me to dive into anything more in terms of our background and what we do.
Yeah, I'm going to have tons of questions throughout, honestly. When you guys launched, I mean, okay, November 2024, you were just weeks after like the Truth Terminal and GOAT explosion, and it was that it caught the entire space off guard. No, like, man, we're always like hunting and looking for the next meta and where's it going, and I wasn't expecting that. I think everybody was expecting, this big, beautiful AI future that's coming. I don't know if I necessarily saw it here in crypto like that quickly, but like all of a sudden Truth Terminal puts GOAT on the map, and it's game changer. Was GOAT any part of the inspiration to like, well, actually, I don't even know if you mentioned, I don't think you did. What was your experience with AI before? Like what got you into AI and then into wanting to create an agent?
Sure. So my primary job is I work in the innovation function in a really, really large global consulting firm. And so I was primarily brought on as a blockchain subject matter expert. By the way, I didn't go too much into my background blockchain wise. I've actually been in the space, at least as a researcher and hobbyist, for 9 years, and I did a lot in like the DeFi 2.0 era and the forks. I don't know if you were around for that, but I wrote a lot of articles during that time and did a ton of DeFi analysis during that. And as a result of all my efforts there, I started working as a blockchain subject matter expert. And once ChatGPT hit the scene, it was kind of all hands on deck. And and so I dove real deep on Gen AI. I basically use all the tools every day: Gemini, Claude, OpenAI, of course. And I talk to C-suites of major companies practically on a weekly basis about generative AI, do some trainings on it, et cetera. So since I'm fully focused on both these technologies, Gen AI and blockchain, when virtuals came out and I saw what Anand Iyer was doing with Sequoia, now FuShot, that really got me excited. I'm like, and you needed to launch to use the game framework. And AI agents were still a very early concept back then, and so this is like the melding of two of my worlds. I thought it would be such a great idea to launch, to experiment, and see how far we could take this.
Man, so you see like the opportunity, at least just to play, like you're a techie guy. I've got an IT background too, and I'm like kind of dialed in that way. When I see exciting, fun tech, I'm right in like dabbling and playing, whether that's back in the day with NFTs, just minting NFTs because you got to try it out and see what you can do with it, to now here in AI. Really cool. Maybe we can get into, who's on your team, by the way? I'd love to shout out like anybody else involved with Athena before we get into more specifics of what it does and future.
Yeah. So do you have our website open on one of the tabs? I think you
Yeah.
do. Yeah. So go over to the team section there. You could scroll down a little bit. So just scroll down a little bit. So it's basically, it's myself, Bludex, right? Kind of all things marketing, growth, technology, derivatives, data, Gen AI, a lot of different things. Kind of have a jack of all trades. We have Zixios, who is a part-time developer. He has a day job at a pretty massive tech company. He is an absolute genius coder. We have Dylan, who is our primary software developer. Most of the functions we've built have been primarily by him. So he's our main tech lead. He's got 20 years experience in software development. We have Mantis Clone, who has been in the Web3 space for quite a while. He works at our Request Network, and Mariana, who is more kind of leading our kind of metaverse / virtual presence area of the project.
Mariana's name sounds super familiar, especially when I see the Stand with Crypto.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there was like a specific event, if there was like a round table or some kind of stream that she was like very like visible out there promoting it. But I'm
very possible. I know she's really big in the Decentraland space. But so of four of the five of us, we're actually all here in Ohio, and we actually all met. So I founded the Cleveland Blockchain and Crypto Meetup Group, and we basically all kind of met through that. This was something that spurred out of basically a grassroots initiative here. Bankless was kind of involved a little bit, or Bankless DAO rather, and it really took off. We had like 500 members, and so just from meeting people through that is kind of how we formed.
Dude, the IRL thing, it's like it's way more powerful than people realize. Like it's a meme in this space, like shouting community. You know what I mean? But it's actually real. It really is real. And I think like the partnerships and the camaraderie and whatever, just getting together IRL and seeing what you can cook is dude, it's different. I think that's something that can separate projects here. On Athena, can I call it her? Is it? I never know how to refer to these.
We could say her. I say her all the time.
Okay, that makes me feel. That's how I usually do. What does Athena do? Like, and especially when you first created her, what were you setting out to do with her? And I'm curious if that has evolved and how, and we'll get to future. But yeah.
Yeah, so first, we were definitely before DeFAI was a term. We knew we wanted her to be at the intersection of DeFi and Gen AI, mainly because that's where all of my background knowledge was. So we looked at a lot of different things. We looked at some like cross chain yield optimization strategies initially. We saw that that market was getting kind of crowded. And so we wanted to identify and there were a lot of these agent projects launching. We wanted to identify a niche that we had really good knowledge and skills on that wasn't really being addressed in the broader market. And where we landed on was actually to be a crypto derivatives insights agent with a focus on perpetuals smart money behaviors. There's a lot of virtual agents out there that are focused on spot, that are focused on technical analysis, et cetera, but there weren't many out there that are focused on derivatives. And so we want to be that one that is fully focused on that, curating data sets and providing those data sets into other integrations such as the agent commerce protocol. And the goal later this summer actually is to have autonomously trading hyperliquid vaults utilizing
Ooh.
that data and kind of creating long short hedging strategies for example, and it'll all be on derivatives data, so we don't take into anything from social, for example, purely derivatives both on centralized and decentralized exchanges. But the primary function that we have that we're first incorporating into ACP is basically a hyperliquid smart money scanner aggregator, where we identify, up to 100 of the best performing wallets. We tag them with personalities. Are they day traders? Are they swing traders? And then we have a function that we can call however often as we want, that shows where the different signals are and where smart money is positioned. So that's so right now, a lot of people ask us all the time, like, hey, how do I get access? Can I get access to your terminal? Where do I see this? And right now we're gating this. We really want to make sure that we're aligned with Agent Commerce Protocol. Like, we're pretty honored and happy that they've chosen us for this. So we really want to make it exclusive in there for now, and then later on we can see what we want to do with it. But yeah, so that's the primary thing we're focused on. And then down the line later this summer, we're in talks with an institutional grade derivatives data provider, where the goal is we'll be basically combining the smart money data insights combined with some institutional insights, things like funding rates, and even the where open interest is not only on like the spot Bitcoin and Ether ETFs on the stock exchanges, but also big data inputs from Deribit and other perpetuals platforms, and to basically kind of create hedging strategies and other things. We'll have a lot of different vaults coming out of that.
Wild. I've been like setting the audience up, and by the way, our audience are like, they're pretty dialed in to what's going on here in AI. I think if you're tuning into a show that's about AI agents, you're probably like pretty up on stuff. But I'd like to remind people that we're, I think, like racing into that DeFi season, and when we get there, it might change the trading landscape. Right? There's predictions out there that you know 70-80% of on-chain trading will be done by agents or kind of AI powered platforms, and we're right on the cusp of it. You're going to be a big part of that conversation, it sounds like. So if that's an area that interests you guys, especially where now you have an agent in front of you that I think you really need to be paying attention to. With the ACP, I wonder if you could get into like more specifically, like the function of Athena in there. Like, how is she going to work into the ACP workflow? What kind of information is she handling and providing? And how is she working with other agents?
Sure, yeah. So the main thing that we have is we have our functions. So we've already incorporated this. So we have the game SDK installed. We have the ACP integration, the plugin installed. We have an API that we're serving up through that different agents can call. So generally, what's going to happen is an end user is going to interface with AXVC or Axelrod, and they're going to say, "Hey, I want to invest. We have whatever 1,000 USDC, and we want to put it into a bunch of different things where we have maybe a little bit in a low risk profile, maybe some of it in a degen profile, and then to have it basically direct the funds to those different areas." So Athena is primarily, while we do have a lot of great insights on Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana, we're looking at a lot of the longer tail assets. It has to be assets that are supported by Hyperliquid, right? So they support about 200 assets. But so we're looking at the signals on some of those longer tail ones. So altcoins outside of like those top five or 10 or so. And so what happens is if someone requests wanting to have a little bit of degen in their portfolio, or maybe like a long short type strategy on some altcoins, they'll grab some of that data with us. It's going to be fetched and filtered, and it's going to go to Swarm actually for confirmation and checking. There's going to be risk management agents, etc., just to make sure that everything looks good with the output. And then a decision will be made to either buy some of those things in spot or through perps or something else.
Dude, it's so funny. Like I look at this diagram, and I've seen this 50 times, right? And I think most people here have, but every single time it makes me like stop and appreciate what a dream team this is that we're looking at.
Oh yeah.
Like, what a crazy thing to have some of the top agents. In fact, I think all of these, you put these in the top tier of agents that are out there in the virtuals ecosystem. Of course, there's gonna be more swarms, and but like, man, I can't wait to see this live and cooking and the performance and how it does. Again, this ties in that DeFAI conversation. If this cooks, the game's different, right? Everybody's gonna be out here trying to replicate it. And then individually, I think all these projects, on their own, pushing us forward. Also, I think there's going to be a lot of partnerships like behind the scenes of different agents working together. But this one right here, I think is going to be hard to beat. Just so many like specialists in different areas here. I cannot wait to see them put together. Any insights, by the way, into like when this is coming, when ACP is coming?
I don't. So of course, we're working with the virtuals team and doing a lot of testing right now. They're constantly updating the code set. It feels like every few days. There's active integrations and testing going on. I would say about probably half of the agents will probably be pretty buttoned up soon. I'm hoping probably in the next week or two. Then the other half of the agents, I'm assuming probably going to be another month or so. I honestly don't know exactly what the timeline is. If they're going to release it with maybe half the agents functioning, they're going to add more later. I think they might be launching with maybe the low risk versions of their pools sooner, and then they'll add in the higher risk ones later. That could be ready pretty soon. I'm just seeing from just the developer chats in there. It looks like, for example, Moonwell and Mammo, it looks like they're pretty far along here. So maybe we'll see something in the next week or two here partially. I don't think in terms of fully this entire dream how it's laid out here. I feel like we're probably at least a month out from that or so. But those are guesses. I don't have any kind of inside baseball or anything from the virtuals team on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's why I asked, because I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm not a dev, right? I'm like the least tech savvy person on the CryptoSlam team here, but like know enough, but I don't know time frame, and I'm not. So I try to pull that from anybody on the show who's in the ACP too. Mark, I'll hit on that question in a quick second here. About what, it's not a dumb question, it's a great question, and it's a big deal. Also, so the same diagram we've been looking at now for a month or two. I have a feeling when it's live, it's going to be, I don't want to say totally different, but it's probably going to be different. Like, this thing is so modular. So you mentioned Mammo or Mamo, I don't know if I say it right, terrible with names, but announced that they're going to be in the ACP. On the virtuals hackathon, you guys have seen that graphic of like the top 10 finishers. There's at least one agent there that also is marked for the hedge fund trading DAO. So again, I think this is going to look different. To what degree, not sure. I don't know if we have like an extra 5 or 10 agents. I don't know if some of them are swapped out, or if it's all these and more. But the way these ACPs are modular, and I think that's how it's going to be playing going forward, right? Just plugging in something that makes it better. If it's a value add, plug it in. This is now a standard. And so then, Mark, that gets us to your question. What is ACP? ACP stands for Agent Commerce Protocol. All it is, and by all it is, I'm not minimizing it, it's fucking amazing. It's agents working together for an objective. So we call it a swarm. So everything you're seeing on the screen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so let's just say 12 to 15 agents are all autonomously working together for whatever their objective is. In this case, these guys here, it's a hedge fund and a trading DAO. So they're out there trying to make money. We're going to see what they do when they're autonomous trying to make money and how much they can make. And like I was saying earlier, man, if they make money, if they're profitable, better believe everybody's going to try to copy that, which is a great thing. More swarms out there that are trying to make money, more individual projects that are out there trying to make money, but it'll put agents trading on the map in a way that a lot of us are expecting to happen, but we'll know it works when they're starting to make that money. Again, it's completely different game at that point. So I'm looking forward to it. Most of the people in the virtuals ecosystem, the ACP is the next major milestone for us all. And fingers crossed, man. I hope it cooks. I think it's got great potential. What did you think, BlueDex, early in like the agentic explosion? Okay, so I used to think one agent is like will be all powerful and can do everything. Is in like this same swarm we're looking at here, the same ACP. I didn't think you needed a swarm to do it. I assumed you could just have one agent that's going to be the guy trading and managing the portfolio and doing the risk analysis and the trigger and all these roles. And I think I've learned being close to this now. I don't think one agent can handle it, right? You need these specialists in the different area. What do you think about that right now? Can an agent do what a swarm is doing? Is it capable to do something like this?
I would say no. I would say you do need multiple agents, and I actually have the same exact conversation in my day job with a lot of C-suites in terms of where we see Gen AI and AI agents going more broadly, and really just corporations and services-based tech companies in general where they're going. How I see it is it's going to be AI is so instrumental and transformative and disruptive in the area of software development and automation, right? So we're already seeing like massive productivity gains. Our team utilizes all of these tools like Windsurf and Cursor, for example, to do our coding, and they are incredible. They are absolutely increasing our productivity a lot. So if you think about where this, the global, or rather like the US stock market is and how far it's come over the last 30, 40 years, so much of those gains have been derived from the main commodity being code, right? Being software, being developers. And the notional cost of that is trending towards zero with the advancements in Gen AI. So then what are companies and probable companies going to look like in the future? Well, if you have Gen AI that's automating most of the development and automation in it, the main thing that separates companies from each other is going to be curated data sets, right? Curated data sets that are not publicly accessible by the internet. That's going to be number one. There's going to be proprietary and curated data sets that companies will have, or people will want to extract value out of that data. Then you're going to have a layer of security on top of that to make sure that you're not leaking that data out to the internet, so that basically someone can't basically steal all of your IP. And then, of course, you have the marketing layer on top of that. So whatever you're basically selling with the data and how that's transformed or utilized, to separate you from your peers in that. So that being said, the real key thing here is it all comes down to the data. Is how are you curating and transforming data, and then having the agents utilize that data combined with publicly internet information as well as other agents, and have them work together.
Speaking of data, dude, where you might have said that. I'm sorry if so. Where does your data come from? Where do you get that info stream that you then parse into signals and alpha? Where does it come from?
It comes purely for now from Hyperliquid APIs.
Okay.
So all of the publicly available Hyperliquid APIs, we use purely those right now to identify the smart money insights. Dude. We are in talks with another major derivatives, and not just derivatives, all crypto data provider. Like there's only like a few like really marquee names out there, and we think it's the number one data provider out there that we've been in talks with for a while. Now that's going to be extremely expensive. So we want to make sure that we get everything done with the Hyperliquid APIs as much as possible first, since those are effectively free. And then we're going to go more into those more advanced data streams later down the line.
I need that Hyperliquid action in my life. Like I've never traded there. I've never done leverage trading. Actually, I take that back. Once got wrecked, never touched it again. But I get it. I get how big of an opportunity it is, and I need like guidance with it. And I feel like even if an AI agent or even an AI powered platform isn't your like help desk and your guide through it. I feel like it is going to help you to some degree, like ease into it. Some of it's going to be automated trading, I assume. I looked at something like Gigabrain, who's also in the Swarm, and they're doing
Yep.
something very similar. And that is what, when I look at these agents out there, I look for things like product market fit. What is something I would actually use? That is one. Now Athena enters that. Athena becomes one of those things I would use if it helps me trade on Hyperliquid.
Exactly, and that's actually a really great segue. If you don't mind, if I
Mhm.
can maybe get into some of the insights we've gotten from her so far, and what we've done with her on perps, because it's been actually a really fun testing phase over the last week, and really goes to show where the value is in this agentic trading. A good buddy of mine, you may have seen him, very big in the scene, son of Adam from Kosher Capital.
Yeah.
He's another OG project, the Shekel token. By the way, they are absolutely gigachads over there. They are really, really, really bright. So I just want to give a shout out to
Please,
them.
please help me get them on the show. I can't get a hold of them. DMs. I
Okay,
think
I
they're awesome.
promise you, I will connect you guys.
Super cool.
Yeah, so they're really, really good. We've talked a lot with them, and one of my favorite things that he said back when they were launching, I mean, gosh, back in December or something, is that agentic trading takes the emotion out of the equation, right? When we think about like you mentioned about playing with perps and getting wrecked, so much of that is actually driven by our emotions. And when you have an AI managing a strategy for you, the AIs don't get emotional and they will stick to a strategy. And I'll give you a great example of this. So we've been testing this function for a while, and we're testing it real heavy with real money and personal wallets over the last week or so. So what I did is, starting about a week ago, maybe a little over a week ago, is I stuck to the strategy, and I went to Athena signals, and I basically paired all of her long signals with her short signals to try and create more of like a hedging strategy. And then so that if the market went up or down, which you never know where it's going to go, that maybe there is a spread there that could capture. So did it for a few days. It was going really well. I was sticking to the strategy. It was going amazing. We made like 5 grand in a matter of a few days. We're still, I think, number one on at least on the weekly chart on
Wow.
base for the Gains network. But then something happened, right? Something that always happens is emotions took over, right? So a signal came out. Oh gosh, I can't remember if this was on Sunday night or something else. But a signal came out in Athena that basically said, go short on WIF, right? On dog WIF hat. And entered the short. WIF kept going up. The position was down maybe 20%. They were using 3x leverage. And then and then the signal disappeared from Athena, which basically meant I should have closed it right there. And I'm like, you know what? No, this thing looks overbought. I'm just gonna let this keep running for a little while, right? Lo and behold, if you don't, can you load it up, the dog with hat chart, actually on
Yeah.
like TradingView or something like that?
Yep.
If it's not too much of a pain.
No.
So
No.
so so then I let it ride. Of course, dog with hat kept going up, and it kept going up, kept going up. And now the position's really underwater. And then I started bailing it out, right? Because I didn't want to get liquidated, right? And so now it's in a tough position. And then the signal came back even stronger. It said short whiff, it went away from it, and now it's coming back like really short whiff. Well, now at this point, I'm too scared, right? So yeah, go just look over the last week of the chart, right? Because you'll see exactly what I'm talking about here. Yeah, that's good. So basically, if you look right before the third, right, is when it was on this uptrend. Somewhere around there is when that signal set to short, and then it went away. And then I kept the short going and basically held it all the way up into that top. And then the signal came back really strong, but I felt so overcommitted to that I didn't want to add to it anymore. And then of course you saw it kept going down after that. And then as it was going down, even though the signal still was very strong to keep it short, I wound up closing the position and basically at a break even point. And then of course, as you see, it kept going down, even though it remained that strong signal all through that downturn. And it actually wound up going down lower to when it initially came out. So if I removed all emotion from that, that would have been a winning trade. And that was a losing trade because I let emotion take over. And if I just let the agent do its thing and I just did it straight from it, if I took that minor 20% loss up front and then reinitiated it when it was stronger, that would have been a massive, massive gain. And if we had this done in an agentic fashion, it wouldn't have been a problem.
Do you believe AI will be able to, and by AI, I mean even a human using an AI tool, do you think, like on average, AI traders will outtrade just a human trader that's not using these kind of tools?
I think absolutely, and in fact, I think well, first of all, I mean, machine learning and deep learning and AI has been around for 50 years, right? So these like quants on Wall Street like probably look at us in like the crypto sphere and like laugh. I mean, they have billions of dollars inputted into these really, really advanced quantitative, super high speed analytics, et cetera. AI is actually very LLM technology is actually slow, right? So because you need the compute and the thinking power into it. So I actually don't think for like day trading, for example, that AI is going to be super, super effective because of that compute overhead. That being said, I think for swing trading and portfolio management, I think it's going to be extremely strong. I think that always it's been really, really hard for humans to outperform AI and machine learning and quants, et cetera. That will always be the case. Definitely with Gen AI, it's going to become harder and harder and harder to find quote alpha. So I definitely think that AI and AI agents are going to have a huge place there. There's also the fact that these things still hallucinate quite a lot.
That's a
Um,
great point.
yeah, and which is a really scary thing to do, to trust your money to something that can hallucinate, right? Especially if you don't put any guardrails around it. Because if you prompt it and say, "Hey, only use a maximum of 3x leverage short, and only use this, only go through this strategy, only go into stables here," and all of a sudden it starts going wild and 100x leveraging things and liquidating you, like that would be horrible. So you need to have actual agents do the trading themselves is pretty dangerous. However, I think that through code and smart contracts, you could put a lot of those rails around it so that AI can't go too crazy,
Right.
and you could still use it.
Yeah, and so that, in a way for right now, that just speaks to why the, swarm method maybe um will work, right? There's these checks and balances and confirmation that machine learning is. I taught my daughter about machine hallucination just a couple weeks ago. She had looked something up and she told me the answer, and I had to explain to her it might not be truthful, it might not be real, and gave her the whole spiel
Exactly.
on why. But at least in these kind of environments, again, you got these things coming back and confirming, denying, whatever, which is great. Then as these standalone products, and let's say Athena specifically, because I think the way I heard it is there will be like standalone Athena like trading systems. I don't know if that's a terminal or what. Um, if that's
Yeah,
correct, how do you build that out to then combat the hallucinations?
right. So the goal there is going to, at least how we think about it right now, things could always change, is to utilize hyperliquid vaults. And we would have many, many different strategies. We would start with the lowest risk strategy, so that it'll be hedging, right? So our data is the best on the blue chip assets for Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana. So one of the first vaults that we're looking at doing is where it'll take the signals and look at, for the next either 4 hours or maybe 24 hours, what is the most bullish out of Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol, and what is the most bearish, and it'll pair trade them, right? And then it'll flip based as the signals flip every 4 to 12 hours or so, right? So it would be basically a pair trading strategy on the blue chips. And since there's always one long, one short, the goal would be that there would be an upside most times. Of course, there's always the chance, and it does happen every now and then, where the signals are wrong. You'll be, say, long ETH, short Sol, and then Sol ETH, for example, will outperform, right? So you'll have that sometimes, but the goal would be for it to basically alternate based on the short-term signals of that, and that would be a vault in its own. Then we'll make the same vault, and we'll expand the assets to things like XRP and Cardano and BNB, Hype. So more of a lot of the stronger core assets. And then from there, we'll get more into the degen areas where we'll just purely be alternating between where the signals are the strongest, no matter what direction, no matter what tokens, right? So I'm looking. I just load up the function right now. It says strong signals on shorting WIF, longing Launchcoin, longing Hype, longing Fartcoin, shorting Bonk, longing Aave, longing Pepe, longing ETH, longing Bitcoin, and neutral on Solana. So those are the signals that it just kind of spout out to us just live right now That's a mix of day trading and swing trading signals, just to use that example.
Where does
So
that happen, by the way? Is that in Telegram, or is this just for you, kind of
this
back end
is
stuff?
this is a private gated API that we've done. So the people in Agent Commerce Protocol can call this API, and of course we as developers have access to it, but we're not publicly sharing
And then I guess in the meantime, because the Athena account is tweeting out
it.
some alphas and
Hasn't
signals.
exactly right. So yeah, thank you for
Oh,
bringing that
I
up.
just noticed the dates. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. So we turned that down. So we had this data in her for a while, and initially what we were doing is we were having her talk about it, and we turned this down for a couple reasons. For one, that whole like slot bot meta was kind of going away. People were getting a little annoyed about it.
Risk getting muted, right? I mean,
Yeah,
people, yeah.
exactly, and blocked. We actually had to we a lot of times we had to keep verifying her because people were blocking her, and then also we had to move our game framework from the cloud to the from the cloud sandbox to the SDK, and it's just a little bit quirkier to program her her X interface through that. So the juice just wasn't worth the squeeze at the time, and we were getting ready to sell this information into ACP. So we needed to start gating it anyway. But she's going to start talking again one day soon. We're definitely going to reprioritize that one day. We can get her to say more interesting things and tune her so that she only sits in there every few hours, and especially when we get the more advanced derivatives insights into it, that she'll be able to say some really interesting things as they happen, like to talk about what the largest notional interest on Deribit in the last 24 hours and spout it out there, right? So I mean, we could already do that, but we'll return to that. But all eyes right now are on curating and focusing on making sure that our hyperliquid smart money function is as alpha as possible, and to make sure that it's going to work being integrated into ACP. Once those two things we feel are really good with, and we've really gotten all the value out of the hyperliquid APIs as we can, then we're going to start looking into the vol trading.
Man, really cool stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna pull us out of ACP. I'm gonna rewind us back to what we talked about earlier, actually, November. I would love if you could just speak on how the space has changed from November and how we've grown, and if you're happy with how the agentic space has grown. If it is more speculative now too, in a way. Just thoughts on that evolution and the change and the kind of agents we're seeing these days, or are we on the right path?
Yeah, I'd say so. So you're right. So the meta definitely changed quite a bit. Initially when you had the agents talking on Twitter, that took up a lot of the mind share. That was initially what we were kind of focused on. Then that kind of narrative died off. We had kind of like a mini bear market, I guess, when all the tariffs and stuff started happening. I say mini bear market, but it was pretty brutal, right? But we stayed tried and true to the Virtuals protocol team. We did not stop building through that. We kept testing things. We kept integrating. ACP was announced in the middle of when things were kind of bearish there still. So I would say we're heading in the right direction. I would say the Virtuals protocol team, I've absolutely been very impressed with. There's lots of things. I feel bad for them, right? Because anytime you make a decision, especially when there's like money involved, people invested, there's always going to be a group of people who like what you're doing and a group of people that don't like what you're doing, right? And so every time they make a change or do something new, it's going to impact some people negatively, some people positively. So they're going to piss some people off and make others really happy. And that's such a really tight tightrope to walk. But I think what they've done recently with leading into their launch pad with the Genesis launches, I was initially actually very skeptical when they started saying how make trenching great again, or whatever they were saying. And I was like, oh man, I don't really care about the trenches. Like, I'm here trying to build a cool product with technology. Like, I don't really care so much about that. But boy, did they really deliver in terms of this point system and the Genesis launches, where it rewards long-term holders, people dedicated to the ecosystem. I've been really impressed. I wasn't sure if they're going to pull it out. As of now, I would say they absolutely have.
Like damn near flawless. And it's so wild because this is something I think, or I've thought anybody would have the opportunity to come in and do, and nobody would do it. And what that is fair launches. Get the insiders out of these pre-sales, give everybody a chance everybody give everybody a chance to get into these things. And I look at like tokens anyway, like just across the board, a kind of rigged game. And I just mean there are rules to it. Again, even pre-sales, how do you get in, right? um and for them to build out this system that is as fair as I've seen, I think it is the most fair system I've seen. For them to add in the staking periods or the lock periods that incentivize you to hold. Some people might not like that it's like this artificial gamification, but if it's gamified anyways, why not gamify it in favor of the community and the traders? And all the while, like you said, they do make changes, right? So they're iterating along the way, and they're dialed in, in favor of the community. Like so far, every step of the way, they've proven themselves to be really, really good for the community. Like maybe even motivated by being good to the community. And on those rare missteps, which of course they're going to make, right? They have a few times. They're so quick to recognize it and pivot. And if it's something they're not going to change, they at least are thorough explaining why it is how it is, and why they might not change it or what they might consider. But like these guys, so transparent, and man, I'll ride with a team that I feel like is looking out for everybody, right? The little guys, even the
Yeah.
whales, everybody seems to be looked out for and taken care of. Again, I thought we would see a platform like this, just dial in those rewards differently. And I'm happy it's them. It feels like it's in the hands of the good guys in this space. So like I consider myself lucky to be building with them, but also be able to trade in their ecosystem. Still feels early. It does. I
Yeah.
don't know if it does to you still. Actually, what do you think right now? If where's a life cycle for the virtuals platform, or maybe even just agents? How early do you think we are still, or how late?
It's a great question. So I think the narratives are always going to change over time, and you're always going to have moments where, quote, the music stops, right? You're always going to have macro things taking over. But the big thing that's really going to happen is the LLMs are going to get really, really advanced really quick, right? We talk about that singularity moment or that AGI/ASI moment. Like that's really going to be the crazy thing. We're not quite there yet, and we could be there very soon. That's going to be disruptive to this whole process. Where if the team doesn't lean in the right way, as that technology is getting more and more mature, we are entering more of that AGI era. That could be a make or break point, and that could be soon. I don't know if it's weeks, months. It could still be a year or more away, but like I really think like we're heading that in direction. With Anthropic and Google and OpenAI, like they are making such immense advancements with the LLM technology every days, and so we have to make sure that the agents are taking advantage of those new features as they get rolled out day in and day out.
What does that look like here then? Like if we're focusing on virtuals, the Genesis launches, even the established OG projects, if we get to like AGI, ASI, how does that impact this space right here? Is it just these agents suddenly are even better at trading? Is there security risk at that point? Like some of these going off the rails and being like bad actors in the space? Like what could that look like?
It's really tough to say, right? It depends on, I mean, so many of these projects don't actually utilize any AI on the back ends, so it's really tough to say. I'm sure there's going to be some examples of ones that'll really shine. So really hard for me to predict that one, but I
Definitely.
would absolutely say that the teams that lean into the technology the most will probably aim to benefit the most. But the future's quite uncertain there.
Man, I can't wait. All right, let me get a couple more questions in. I'm over your time, but I appreciate you
Oh, no, no, no,
hanging.
you're good. We got time.
Um, this is maybe outside of the crypto AI stuff here. This is more broader AI. So there's conversation. Damn, now I got another question popped into my head. Okay, here's one. Do agents need a token? Right. I saw CZ brought this up a couple months ago. I usually ask every guest here. Do agents or these AI platforms need a token?
I would say it depends on the project. I would say largely no. When you think about what tokens do and what they're good at, they're generally really good fundraising mechanisms. I mean, honestly, they're like really good security type tokens where they're good for people to raise money to build something. So I think like for that perspective, they can be really, really good to bootstrap teams into building something. We on with Athena, and I really wanted to get into this. We actually take kind of the opposite approach with that, right? Like I mentioned, this is a side hobby for us. This is a side job. We want to make a good name for crypto. There's way too many scammy projects and extractive projects out there where there are people tricking you to invest, and then the founders dump on you, and they have all these smoke and mirrors. We want to be the complete opposite. Not only do we want to deliver a real product, but we don't want to sell our token at all. In fact, we want to actually increase the scarcity and reduce the circulating amount of the token. We want to be like that popular strategy you see with public companies where they aim to acquire as much Bitcoin or ETH or Solana as possible, right? Well, we also as a DAO want to be the one that actually takes in as much Athena as possible. The day that I launched Athena, I acquired over a quarter of the supply, 257 million of the tokens. We still have over 250 million of those tokens, right? So even when we hit up to 6 million market cap, we never dumped anything on anybody. In fact, we've only been net deflationary since then. Since not only do we still have all those, but there is an additional 90 million tokens that have been bought back and burned since the beginning. So our goal is not to shill, not to get people to buy our token. We're here just basically vibing, and we're building really cool products. And we want to see how this is a video game to us. And the market cap of Athena and our treasury and stuff like that is our score. We're aiming to maximize that as much as possible. If people want to buy and join us on the journey, that's great. That's their prerogative. But we're gonna, based on our efforts, we're gonna try and make this stuff go up. Again, not financial advice, right? But if you look at what our costs are for our infrastructure, like our GitHub and server hosting and everything, like it's maybe $200 or $250 a month. We've made $10,000 in the last 2 weeks,
Wow.
right? That's 3.5 years of our run rate. We haven't even launched an ACP. We haven't even sold our product into anything yet. And that's because we've been very frugal, and we're not acting. We're acting not only as technologists that are coding this agentic platform, but we're almost like a mini investment DAO too, where we're taking in fees, we're yield farming, we're doing Genesis launches. And the goal is to continue to our treasury is over 300 grand right now on a market cap weighted basis. And our goal is just keep growing that pie. We barely pay ourselves anything. I've only spent money. I haven't cashed out anything from that initial buy. And we're only investing to see how far we can grow that treasury, how far we can grow Athena's market cap. So we're not here to shill and dump. We're here to do the opposite. We're going to vibe. We're going to build something cool. We're going to see how much Athena we can remove from circulation and go from there. And it would be, by the way, it would be a way better business thing for us to like pay ourselves and not buy the token back, right? With the technology, we'd make a lot more if we just did it that way. But again, this is a video game to us. We want to try and see if we can be a non-extractive crypto project that actually returns value. Again, not financial advice, no guarantees. Go back to my disclaimer before, but that's kind of our goals.
I love that. I love when I hear founders talk and you realize how much you align with people. There's there's camps, there's I don't know if clans, whatever. There's just these groupings of people here in the just in crypto in general. But there's some guys when they talk, you're like, oh my God, same page. We see this the same. I love that. You definitely you guys. I feel like we align very closely with all of that. I got to ask you a question about DAOs. DAOs. I want to hear about the DAO as much as you can share. Again, we can keep it tight and work to wrap up. But like DAOs are really tricky, man. We just saw let me think, the 8-coin DAO sounds like it's game over for them, right? We saw the Pixel Vault founders DAO close too. I started a DAO like 4 years ago. It's impossible to manage. It's so much work. It's such a commitment to keep it running. It's so hard to get people engaged. When the agentic thing happened last year, I don't know why, but something kind of clicked that having AI as part of the, maybe it's involved in driving those different functions of the DAO, whether it's, getting the people engaged or actually the one that, because it's on chain does the transact. I don't know. I feel like AI actually can fix DAOs. And now that might not be how you're using the DAO here for Athena, but I'm curious your thoughts. Well, I want to hear what the Athena DAO is and the participants, what they're looking to do here, what you're looking to do. But I wonder if you actually feel similar about old versions of DAOs maybe didn't work, maybe a new opportunity here with AI.
Yeah, great questions. So the first part of that, in terms of how we operate as a DAO, so we use Aragon, where you can wrap the Athena tokens as G Athena as a governance token, and basically create proposals and vote on proposals on Aragon. That is the primary way we do it, right? So when we want to make sure when we're making big decisions, especially financial decisions, that we put those up to a vote and people have an opportunity to weigh in on those things. Now it's a little trickier because you're supposed to really stake your tokens, right? And you can't vote with stake tokens. So we have to find a way to do
Hmm.
that one day. But that's really the way we're looking at it, is more as from a governance perspective. I definitely agree that in terms of how DAOs have worked historically have been really, really tough because we've seen so many cases where it's basically whales that are making it out for themselves and not for the protocol, which is a big problem. And so we think we kind of have enough where we don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. That we have enough of a stake in the game. In terms of how AIs can work with DAOs or change how DAOs work. I actually think the AI agents being DAO members and making decisions. I actually think is super valuable. I actually think, you're going to see people export, their chief investment officer to AI agents, right? So I think there's no reason why DAO governance and major players can actually be AI agents that are making a lot of those decisions and have their own tokens and voting for things. So we haven't thought deeply about that yet, but I think it's a really, really cool concept to create these agents that give them tokens and act as voting and proposal initiators based on how you prompt them. I think that could be really cool.
Yeah, even back to the hedge fund um, trading DAO. I mean, I wonder if these guys are going to have a kind of like a DAO overlaid on them where they're the voters. I don't know what that DAO structure looks like when it comes to this ACP. Um, Wait, is it trading fund or trading DAO? It's hedge fund trading. It's DAO, I think, right?
I don't recall actually.
Okay, I should probably know this,
Solid
but
ACP.
well, I'm gonna go with it because it sounds cool and it fits what we're talking about. But like when I look at this, it would be very cool to like have them that's we're looking at a DAO and the agents are voting, right? And again, it's taking all the burden off of a human to rally the troops and get people, all the things I said before. The agents will just do it. They'll just do
Right.
it because they're incentivized to do it. It's just part of their job. They will participate in those votes. And for different kinds of incentives, they'll vote how they believe they should vote. I think there's something super interesting there. So
Yeah.
something I'll be following along for sure. And maybe last question for you, and then I want to give you a chance. Anything else that you want to get in that we didn't touch on? But back to your site. These collaboration opportunities. Part of the funds I believe I read are kind of there to help bring on some talent, some builders into the Athena ecosystem. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like, we are always looking for folks that can vibe with us, especially developers who we can bounce things off of. We have a GitHub that we work through. So anyone who has like a founder mentality that really likes what we're doing, that thinks that they have a decent skill set to provide. Again, we're five people all doing this part time, right? So we're always happy to get some additional help if people feel like they could provide something valuable. Like I mentioned, we have a ton of those tokens still. We can grant those out. We do make a lot of cash flow. We do have a lot of very safe liquid assets like Bitcoin and ETH and stables and such. We actually, I mean, I just gave out a developer bounty over Memorial Day weekend because we had an emergency task. It was a few $100 for a couple hours of work. So we do these bounties for development too. So yeah, always looking for someone on that end. If they can vibe with us. We're trying to be like also like a really US based project, right? To really show that, hey, the US is back and we're here and we're building and there's nothing to be scared of. So we're trying to stay focused on that part of the narrative as well. But yeah, if you have any questions or feel like you have something to provide, anyone out there, feel free to reach out on X or Telegram or something like that, and we could chat.
Dude, awesome. I'm dropping all the links to socials, link to the website in the chat right now. So boom, boom, boom. Those are out there. Um, any final words, thoughts? It could be on anything, just like what you're excited about that's coming up next for you guys. What you're excited for 6 months, a year down the road. Just what's got you motivated right now?
Yeah, so all eyes are on ACP and making sure that our Hyperliquid function is as alpha as possible. We are constantly iterating. We were up late last night, even testing a lot of things out, and incorporating more wallets, adjusting the function. So we want to make, and since we're trading these in our personal wallets and such, so we could see what's working, what's not working, or you're never going to find a strategy that's going to be 100% win rate, right? So we've been hitting about like a 70%, 75% win rate
Pretty
on
damn
some of these
good.
things, which is pretty good. Yeah. So, but we need to make sure that we're really curating that. So yeah, Hyperliquid Vaults is going to be the next big thing. I'm extremely excited about that. Agentic trading and Hyperliquid Vaults is something that, but using both smart money data combined with institutional derivatives data, that is someplace that I really want us to get to, and I think is the will be the most fun for us to build. So we'll see how that goes in the summer. We've got a lot of ideas. We've got a lot of really cool trading strategies that we're toying with right now for that. And yeah, that's as far in the future as I'm thinking right now
That's
for it.
pretty darn great, and that's the part I'm excited about probably most. Of course, ACP, like that's just default.
Yeah.
But hyperliquid trading, yes. Okay, I can say this because I'm not you, and like I'm going to make a comment about your token. I am looking. Look, I'm going to have to get some, so I'm ready at the time that the trading is live. Like it is something I've wanted. I've wanted access or exposure to something that gets me trading in hyperliquid. And I'm looking right now personally as this is a pretty nice entry price. So something I'll be doing here in the short term. Dude, I love what you're cooking. And just as much as that, I think you're freaking awesome. Your team looks awesome. I like the motivations. I even love that it's your part-time thing. There's something about that makes it extra special, that you care about this enough that you're giving up your free time to get in this space and build with the rest of this, AI community. So like, dude, hats off to you. I'm a fan. So
Yeah, I
really
think
cool
it's a
stuff.
I think it's an advantage really, right? Because we're not encumbered by salaries and stuff like that. That this is a hobby, a video game to us. That there's nothing that removes our creative juices from flowing here, right? So it reduces a lot of the stress and such. So it's been working great for us, and yeah, who knows? Maybe this will be something that's so big one day that we want to turn into a full-time thing. We definitely thought about that before, but as of now, this is working great for us, and we're gonna keep it going.
Well, incredible stuff. I'm going to be rooting for you. I will be in. Man, really awesome just to have you on the show. Even just that, a big old treat talking to an OG. So thank you very much, man, for coming on the show. Guys, again, I dropped the socials in the chat, but let me just get him here on screen one last time. 0xBludex. Follow him over on X. Of course, follow Athena AI. It's 0x Athena AI. You'll be seeing them in the swarm right here with our own swarm, man. So going to be a lot of fun working with some of these like just incredible teams, and we'll see where that goes. We'll see when it happens, and think it's coming soon, but things are going to get really, really fun. So again, I wanted to say thank you for joining. Guys, you can follow us over on CryptoSlam over on YouTube. Especially, guys, I'm going to keep the guests coming. I want the best of the best, and I want the hot new launches. And if you can't catch these live shows, you catch the replays here. And man, there's just so much alpha. And it's so important to hear from the guys building. So make sure you subscribe over here to catch those replays. And of course, you can follow our AI agent. It is the swarm_AI. That's over on X. Any final words?
No, I'm good. Thanks for having me, man.
Good stuff. Awesome. Appreciate you, man. We'll do it again sometime, I hope, as well, especially when ACP's live. Dude, I want this like big banger of a show with everybody on, and we just are like we're just vibing about the ACP together. So
That'd be great.
we'll get that rocking. Guys, I'll tell you this, guys, for the audience, I may have another interview coming up here, maybe in the next hour or two. It's one of the new Virtuals Genesis launches, one that I'm pretty excited about. So I might tell you which it is, but stay tuned for that. Aside from that, have a great day, guys. Appreciate you like hell. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you soon.
All right. Take
Peace.
it easy.